Welcome to Elite Expert Insider Podcast, where we will inspire, motivate, and educate entrepreneurs, innovators, and growth seekers. Brought to you by Elite Online Publishing, making the best and brightest in the industry #1 best-selling authors. 80% of people say they want to write a book. We're assuming that's the same for you. If so, contact us at www.eliteonlinepublishing.com and make your book a reality. Hey, how are you doing today? It's Melanie Johnson along with Jen. Hey, Jen, how are you?
Great. How's everyone today?
Good. So it's, a fantastic day here at Elite Expert Insider Podcast. We are going to learn some really important things today. So we always try and bring you things that are going to inspire, motivate, or educate you, make you a better person, make your business better, most importantly, make more money and be more successful. So before we get started, I want to remind you to subscribe to our podcast so you get updated on all the great guests that we have and you know ahead of time who's coming in. Subscribe, hit that button right there and subscribe to us. So we would love that. And I want to tell you, we've got these great little journals: Be a Pineapple, Stand Tall, Wear a Crown, and Be Sweet Inside. Be a Pineapple by Elite Online Publishing. Look for it on Amazon. You can write all your notes and the things that we're going to tell you today. This would be a great place to keep them, the notes of what you're going to learn from our podcast and from each great guest that we have on. So today we have Tera Sunder. Is that right, Tera? Is that how you say it? Yay, I did it right. So, all right, what we're going to learn today. So whether you have, you're a solopreneur with just you, whether you are having just a couple people or you're outsourcing things, whether you have a staff of 100 people, or whether you're just trying to get a job and get ahead and you're not running a company, but you want to be the best success you can and get to the top of the ranks. So we're going to learn the best communication from the top down in business and from the bottom up, how to make your business run and have great communication skills. And then we're going to learn if there's something that's holding you back in business. You're like, why am I not getting that promotion? Why am I not getting that job? We're going to learn from Tera. She is an expert at business. She's been in human resources for years. We're going to learn how to get you to that next level. This is not a ooh la 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 thing. This is like hardcore business strategies. Tera, thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Well, Tera, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and kind of how you got to the point you're at right now.
Sure. Well, I was brought up on the East Coast in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. My parents were professors. So school was always important, and I was kind of always going. But I got into HR because Pittsburgh was changing, and the steel mills were going away, and people needed to be retrained. And that's what really got me started in it. And I fell into the restaurant industry and kept taking different jobs, operations, building restaurants, then into recruiting for major companies like Brinker International, TGI Fridays, Starbucks. And I landed in Salt Lake with Cafe Rios, and then went into the med device field for a while. And what I found making that jump from restaurants to med device was the people are the same. They have the same motivations. They have the same desires. They want to be recognized. They want to feel connected with their company and know that they're making a difference. And they want to be able to grow. And it doesn't matter what company you are, what you do, or what your product is, that's what your employees really want.
So you had a great story. You mentioned Starbucks before we went on the air today. Tera mentioned this great story that she had recruited someone to work at Starbucks just in a regular line position. I mean, it was a startup position. And what are they now?
Well, it wasn't quite a startup position. It was a regional vice president, which, there were a lot of them in Starbucks because for every 100 restaurants, you basically had one. And she's now the executive vice president of North America for Starbucks. So she actually led this whole retraining that they did when they shut down the restaurants, and was the force behind that. And she's just an amazing, amazing woman. And I feel like I had a little bit to do with it. It was all her, but I brought her over. It took some time.
Inspirational. First of all, she's a woman and she got promoted all that way. I just love that. So talking about business communications a little bit, that is kind of a buzz right now. People are so worried about being politically correct. And so what is the way, whether you have several employees or you're working in a company, a small company, mid-sized company, whether you're, just starting out or you're at the high level, what are some of the key strategies that you should be looking for and implementing for communications in a business?
Yeah, I think that it's a couple-fold. But first of all, you have to understand that as a leader of a business, you and your team, if you have a team, may be very, very clear on what your goals are for the year, for 2 years, for 5 years. You're crystal clear on those goals. The people working for you are not. They're coming to work and they're doing what they consider a job. But if you can get them connected to the why are you accounts receivable here? And how is that important to our business growth? And if you can trickle that down in chunks, down to the entry-level positions in your company, the rest of the company just grows. And many companies are very, very poor at this. So I built this program called the Success Tree, where if you look at a tree, the leaves are really the senior leadership of the company. They shine, they're at the tip top of it. The branches that hold those leaves are the managers of the divisions and departments, but the roots are the hourly salaried employees that come in every day and do their job. And if you let them know why their job is connected to growing that tree, it will be glorious in how it blooms. So I have a system that breaks it down and makes it easy to be able to do that very successfully.
I love that. And I think it's really important, like you said, the goal setting. So tell us a little bit, how do you motivate the employees or just the hourly cashiers or those type of people to understand the why and to have their own goals that match the big, president's goals? How do you do that?
Well, the first thing, and this may sound strange coming from an HR person, but they need to understand the P&L. They need to understand, so many companies say, hey, we're an $80 million company. And then the cashier is saying, great, then I should be able to get a raise. But what they don't realize is the money that's spent from that $80 million to keep the company going and keep the company growing. And there isn't always a lot left over. So if you can get them engaged in understanding how that works on a very simplistic level, you will see a change. And if you let them know that if we can save money here and there, if we don't throw in the restaurant business a pile of napkins on a spill, but instead get our towel and clean it up with that, we're saving money that's going to be available to use in other ways, including raises. So if you take it to that simplistic level for an employee, they will catch on to it and they will start finding ways to save your company money.
I think that works even on a family level. So, if you don't have a company and you're running your family, so to speak, or both of you have a job, it's like, hey, telling your kids, if you don't use a whole huge wad of paper towels but you want to have a new bike, then, you need to start doing this because that equates to getting your new bike. If you don't waste all this, that, or the other, or, you help clean up around the house, I don't need to have a housekeeper, then we start to save money.
Right.
So that's really a good point for all of that.
Absolutely. It's very simplistic when you really get down to it. If we're throwing away money where we don't need to, then you're never going to get forward and you're never going to get that raise and you're never going to get that bike, because it's just not option. It's not an option at this point.
And I think it's good too, like, in our business, we have a lot of outside, contract labor that we have, but it's getting them on that same page too of what our goals are and what their labor contributes to our goals, whether it's financially or for us, we publish a bunch of books on Amazon under our own label that people are helping us with. It's like, hey, isn't that cool that you're a part of that, and getting them on board of the success overall of the brand that they're a part of makes good sense too. Let's segue a little little bit into, the personal goals. So you say within that, you've got the company goals, getting someone excited to work towards the company goals so they feel good about themselves and working for the company. What about, they're stagnant in setting their own personal goals within the company goals to get ahead and where they want to be, whether it's moving up in management or getting a new job? How do you attack that with somebody?
Well, that's a great question, because a lot of people have things that they want to do in a company, but they don't want to do the work to get there, right? Like, I want to be, the manager of this department, but, for example, at one of the companies I worked at, it was an FDA regulated company. In order to be a manager, the FDA required that you had a Bachelor of Science degree. Didn't really say what type of science, just a Bachelor of Science degree. And we had a gentleman that had been working there about 15 years, and he wanted to be a manager badly. And we put in a personal development program where we asked very defining questions. What do you want to be? How long do you want to take to get there? One of the questions was, what are you willing and unwilling to do to get there? He was unwilling to go back to school, even if we paid for it, to get his degree. That became a very easy conversation to have with him as to why he was never going to be a manager. However, we found other ways for him to contribute to the organization that added value in his position, so he could acquire more money and more status in the company by having a breadth of knowledge of the company. And so there's different ways that you can attack that.
Yeah. Well, and do you think that it was more a fear of why he chose not to want to go back to school? Or how do you overcome those kind of obstacles?
Well, sometimes it's fear. I was never good at school, and, I found my niche and I'm really good here and I'll fail when I do. That's sometimes it's circumstance, and the one thing that I always do is make sure I check back on people's circumstance, because it may change. Like, his last kid may have graduated from high school and be on his own, and now feels like he has free time to go back to school. A woman may finally have the last one out of diapers and, feel more freedom to go places, do things. So it may be circumstance. If it is circumstance, you just plan for when the right time will be. If it's fear, that's a whole other thing, and you have to give people kind of baby steps to break that fear down. So maybe you have them attend internal classes that you provide at the company, and when they see that they do well there, and maybe you just send them, maybe even during working hours, and say, hey, this is part of your job, send them to a community college class that they can be successful in, and let them build those little successes so that fear comes down a little bit each time.
Well, it's one of the number one rules I remember hearing from Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn is, an inspirational speaker. He's since passed away, but a lot of people have studied his things. And he said, if you want more money, then you have to bring more value. Right. So if you aren't more valuable to the marketplace, then you're not going to get the more money. So if you're complaining that, you're at a $10 an hour job, well, how much value are you bringing to that employer? Well, if you up your game and have more of an education and more skills, then your value to the company is more, and they will pay you more for that. So, and I get the fear thing, and I get the circumstance thing. Jen and I are both single moms, but it's like, if the saying is, like, if you had to burn the bridge, like, if you don't have a choice, you're going to figure out a way to do it. So, we've been where it's that net time. So I suggest to people who say, man, I don't have the time, I don't have this. Well, Jen and I, we write down a skill that we have to learn. Like, what is our new skill for this week or our new skill this month? And so we've learned that when we're putting our makeup on and doing it, we're watching a YouTube video of an expert in that field to start to learn that skill. And, or when we're exercising, we're trying to get our head filled with some of that stuff, or in the car listening to podcasts like this and listening to Tera, who's giving you all this great information. So there are those obstacles you can overcome, but it's having that burning desire that you have to do it no matter what. So don't complain. Tera's telling you, don't complain, take action, do something about it. Tell us a little bit about this initiative too that you've got going about I Am a Superwoman.
Yes. So very, very exciting. I Am a Superwoman is a program that has been started by a woman named Sue Melkin. And we are actually a holding company, I guess you would call it, that we raise funds to support organizations that are training people to get their voices back. So, for example, in Utah, Sheroes United has a program called Inside Out, and they train it in the women's prisons. And they teach these women who are in there to own their own voices and to create their own personal Bill of Rights. And it is amazing what these women put down once they go through the training. They, put things like, I have the right not to be hit. I have the right to laugh. And it empowers them. And even the guards have said that the women that have gone through this program are different once they get out of it. They don't get in trouble. They become leaders. They have more of a self-worth. So when these women get out and they go back to their families, they're bringing their voices with them, and they will teach their children to own their voices. So we are raising funds in a few different ways and getting the message out in a lot of different ways. But right now, you can go to I Am a Superwoman, go to superwomandonations.com or .org to help support the group. And there's some nice t-shirts that you can get, Superwoman t-shirts. But on July 9th in Seneca Falls, New York, we're having a tea party. It will be the 170th anniversary of the very first women's suffragette march that Susan B. Anthony and 4 other women put together. And we're working with the National Park Services on that. And that same day, we are announcing a challenge campaign for you to write your own personal Bill of Rights and videotape yourself sharing them with a cup of tea and challenging 10 other people to write their personal Bill of Rights and sharing those. And it's amazing what you can come up with. Then on July 20th, we're having a Women's Empowerment Summit at the Beverly Hills Hilton in Los Angeles with some very, very powerful women coming to speak that we're very excited about having. And the next night we have a gala that we're putting on to raise money for scholarships. And we actually have Whitney Houston's first grand piano that she bought with her first royalty check. And we have a very interesting guest coming to play that we'll be able to announce very soon. But all of the money that we raise during that will go to organizations, in particular here in Utah, Sheroes United, so that they can continue these programs and grow them so that these women and children can get their voices be heard.
All right, I'm going to challenge you to put this program into a book that can be shared to women all over the world. I just think that would be great. How cool would that be that you could be distributing these books to prisons and to women all over the world that feel like they want to be empowered, to women's shelters, and even to everyday women. I think we all need our own Bill of Rights. Walk us through some of like the process of how we would write our own Bill of Rights.
It's really simple, and you wouldn't believe it, but I wrote mine, and I just took a piece of paper and I wrote, I have the right to. And then I started saying what I have the right to. So one of mine is I have the right to not have negativity in my life, right? So it gives myself permission to say, if you're negative, I choose not to be around you. It's my choice and it's my right. And so I bow out of situations where I find that there is negativity. I have one that says I have a right to express my opinions. I mean, that's my right. And it's my opinion. So, but many people, and maybe even a lot of the women that view this podcast haven't really thought about what their rights are and what is important to them. And it can be anything like the women in prison. I have the right to laugh. Yeah. I mean, it's heartbreaking how simplistic some of these are, but they're important. And when you say them out loud, boy, is that empowering.
Yes. Well, I love that the part where you said I have the right to have my own opinion, because I know a lot of people who don't share their opinion because they're afraid of what someone else will say, or they just know that they're going to be belittled if they share their opinion, or someone will say that that's not right, even though it's just an opinion. There's no right or wrong.
Well, and some of the things you were saying, like I wouldn't have even thought of. So I think it would be cool to have, to give people ideas. Like you said, like I have the right to laugh. I might not have thought about that, but it may relate to my life. So even if you had all these different prompts, Jen and I are working on an affirmation daily planner. So we're giving all of these different affirmations as prompts. So you could have something where you have all these different prompts to give women ideas that they could circle the ones that apply to them and then come up with additional ones on their own. So yeah, pushing you towards a book. Can you see that?
Yeah, well, and we do have some people that are writers that are involved in this, which I'm sure will happen. In Seneca Falls, we're actually going to take a lot of women's statements and make them a permanent Bill of Rights and leave it in Seneca Falls. So we'll have it created into a monument with people's Bill of Rights on it. But the thing about the personal Bill of Rights is it's just that. It's personal, and you know what? It changes. Like once you just tell everybody you have the right to laugh and that becomes who you are, then there might be something else that you feel you have the right to. Because now you've accomplished that one thing. So it is a living, breathing thing that you can keep, much like an affirmation. Can you imagine the power if when you were doing your affirmations, part of it was, I have the right to be happy today. Right? I have the right to be happy today. Mm-hmm. And when you say it out loud and you believe it, no matter what happens, you have the right to be happy.
I just think adding that word, the right to, is so powerful. I've been, like I said, we've been working on the I am powerful, I am strong, I am healthy. But to say I have the right to means like you're really it's not like you're wishing it. It's like it's given on you. You have the power to do this, and no one should be able to take that away from you. Absolutely. I think that is so powerful.
And that's where, we get into, we've been asking kids, what is your superpower? Yeah. Right? What is your superpower? And, some of them I play, because children are so innocent in what they believe their superpowers are, but every single woman has a superpower. And when you acknowledge what that superpower is, you can use it for good. You can use it for evil sometimes, but you can use it for good a lot, right? Yeah. And if you can figure out what that superpower is that makes you unique, you don't have to be able to fly over buildings, or, you have your superpower may be that everybody's alive at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Right? That could be your superpower. Right. And that in and of itself is a trick at times. Yeah. So identifying what your superpower is and embracing it and living it is what gives you the power as well.
So I have a girlfriend who had, I think it was her 50th birthday party, and the table favor all across the table were Superwoman underwear. And she jokes with me, like I'll say, oh man, I got a big appointment today. She goes, wear your Superwoman underwear.
So there's something to be said about that, right? It puts you in that, hey, people don't know this, but I have a well-placed tattoo that when I can't say what I want to say, I just kind of rub my hip. And it makes me know that, I am personally saying what I'd like to say, but politically it probably wouldn't be the right thing to say at the right time. But I'm still saying it to myself. Right? So whatever that is that gives you that power, that talisman, whatever it might be, hold on to it and celebrate it and share it.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
I love that. Well, tell us, Tera, where people can find you, or again, the websites they can go to for the Superwoman.
The Superwoman is superwomandonations.com or .org. And that will take you to many of the other sites that we have for the gala, for the summit, for the Seneca Falls, New York. Also, there will be information about what the I Am a Superwoman campaign is and what the fun things you can do. I mean, you can have tea parties with your kids and ask them what their rights are. And, throw a little tea party on July 9th and celebrate that and videotape it and share it with everybody. I mean, we want to recalibrate and re-educate the youth so that they own this voice from the get-go. that they don't lose it somewhere along the line, and have that power. That is the goal of this. They can find me at terasunder.com, and I'm just working on that site, and we're getting it more up to date. Or they can email me at tera@terasunder.com, and real easy, and it's TERA. So it would be great to hear from anybody if they have challenges or just want to share. But I challenge everybody that on July 9th, they write their personal Bill of Rights and they videotape themselves sharing them and having a cup of tea and challenging 10 other women, men, or their kids to do the same and share it so we can get our power and our voices back.
I love it. I love it. What a great podcast. So if you enjoyed this, please share it with somebody else. And remember to subscribe to our podcast because we always have fabulous people on like Tera. You're going to walk away, see, like you're empowered. I feel so empowered. I've learned a bunch of different things today. I learned about communication, about getting your goals, overcoming your fears, and becoming a superwoman and knowing what you have the right to in this world. So remember to subscribe to us. And also we got this great Be a Pineapple journal, Stand Tall, Wear a Crown, and Be Sweet Inside. You can keep all your notes that you take from our podcast right in one of these journals. You can get it on Amazon. Look for Be a Pineapple, Elite Online Publishing. And if you're looking to publish your book and become a #1 bestseller and use it for an advertising tool for your business, please contact us at eliteonlinepublishing.com. We've made over 50 authors #1 bestsellers, and Jen and I have over 1,700 books on Amazon ourselves. So we would love to help you to market your business through a book. So we'll see you next time at Elite Expert Insider. Remember, subscribe.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Tera.
You're welcome.
If you'd like to create the most powerful advertising tool for your business, contact us at eliteonlinepublishing.com, where we will help you create, publish, and make your book a #1 bestseller and show you how to get new leads and more revenue for your business. If you'd like to check us out on our Facebook page, we have a free book for you as our gift. Just go and click free book. Remember to subscribe and leave a comment for our podcast. We would love to hear from you.